Hi everyone, welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit about lost and found edges, and we won't make this too long, I promise. We're going to, one of the things that's so important is the lost and found edges of the flowers. This is what makes this style of roses that I do completely different from decorative painting. You know, when I was a decorative painter, we'd transfer a pattern and then we'd fill in everything, every one of those lines, you know, kind of perfectly. You follow that pattern. And in a lot of art, quote unquote, art, because it's all art, but in a lot of the fine art type things, lost and found edges is a huge technique that is used to create a lot of depth and interest within a painting. Losing the edge, which is something that we don't do when we have a pattern. Let's just do a real quick little thing here and then explain it. And it's something that I cover in color theory. It's something I cover in all of my in all of my paintings because this is so important. Let's just say I have a value of a background here. It's about a 7. And I'm just going to create, let's just create a little white rose here. So I'll start a gray color, any kind of gray color. These are just the colors that you've seen me use in the other. Matter of fact, I was just filming the lessons, the first intermediate lesson. So these are the colors I was using on those. And so I'm going to create some gray color here. Just some of my, I could use some greens and violets here. I love to use those colors. Sometimes I toss in a little bit of blue just to change that up here. It makes beautiful gray colors. This is, and let's just do this. And gray because it's gone here, and you'll be able to see the lost edge really quickly. So I'll come whenever, you know, like any rose that we do, we always come with just a value or two lighter than the background as we go to base that in. That helps the rose stay soft. Now what is called the lost edge is as you take something, like this would be more of a lost edge. I could just go like this and you lose the edge, you see? And that, when you lose that edge, you lose that ability to see that edge, that's when it starts to soften out or disappear. I can do it with the color here by making the color more closer to the background. You lose the edge here. It's like it's going into a shadow. It's going here. So you could do it with a color or you can do it with a technique. So here I would build this up just a bit more if I was going to paint this rose. And I really want this rose to turn down. I might even consider doing it with a color and a technique, both. So I'll take the color and I'll push that right down there like this. And then what is it that makes the rose? We've said this 1,000 times so far. It's going to be those 3 circles. So we'll take some violets or something here, and we take the 3 circles. We'll put a little bit of color here. Now this will be dark, so I'll have to lighten up my brush. So that's a little dark. So I either have to lighten the pressure on my brush or touch it into a little bit of the gray color here. Just get some of that into it, and then that edge will get lost. And I like the back edge of the roses back here to become lost, which means either the color or I have to push the edge like this so it blurs out. So that's what really gives it. So here you really see right here and you lose right here. This is called the found edge. This is called the lost edge. So I really like to define a nice found edge up here into the front of the rose. We can maybe drop this down through here a bit, but then as it goes back out, it disappears. So that's the lost edge. We'll put some shadow down in here for the bottom of the bowl. That's kind of a found edge right now, too much so. So I'll just push in and out a bit, blur that out, lose the edges of it just a touch here. Maybe even put a little bit of gray right into it right here and lose that shadow, that cool side coming down out to here. Okay, so now I have the basic setup of the rose that is like I like to do it before I go to petal it. Everything is kind of lost, and now I go into petal it. And when I go to petal it, we'll take some of our light color. Let's put a little bit of warmth into that first. Let's put just a touch of yellow into that, yellow oxide. And then I'll take the value here lighter. Here, I'll put it on the edge of the brush here, and you can use a filbert, you can use a flat, you could use whatever, and I'll make the found edge. So usually what I'll do is, I already have a found edge starting here, but I'll make a found edge right up front where I really want you to see it. So that's a nice sharp found edge. And then I'll blur the edge, maybe even take a little dark here, just blur this down, coming back down to here. So now I've created the found edge and it's lost back there again. to make a petal going out, a reaching petal. So here's my bowl coming in right here. I take my petal and I'll push that right in, and I'll head right to the bowl, right up underneath the bowl. Maybe a petal here, maybe a petal here. Now, many times I like to leave a found edge to the front and a lost edge to the back. So I'll push this off like this. Now, what this lost edge does is that allows me to set the next petal up on top and not compete with this one. So it gives me, because the found edge will always sit on top of the lost edge. So that allows me to put another found edge there, and then I'm going to want to lose. Sometimes I'll lose it if I'm going to put another petal back here. I'll lose that edge just a bit and make sure that sneaks underneath the bowl. Push that up and underneath the bowl like we do, right? And then I'll maybe put another petal back here and maybe just lose that back edge right back here like that, so you can see that. So that's why I use a lot of shear techniques and pushing techniques and everything, because I like to lose the edge. Now, if the petal's up here in the front, I want the whole rose to advance, I will do found edge and found edge here. I'll leave it all as a found petal. So you can see that found edge is a nice clear edge to it. Push in and out a bit. Got the petal moving in and out. So you can see. And then back here, this is where I like to do a lost edge. And those of you that have the books and are looking and studying on some of the other things, you'll see many times I will do this. I will pull out so I can lose that edge a lot easier on this side here. I pull out the petals so I lose. I'm constantly always looking at lost and found edges. Maybe put a bit of one right up here, maybe just a soft edge right between a found edge and a lost edge. It just gets a little lost right here, see? So now I have the shape of that rose here. I might take a little bit and move some of the movement around here, but I like the edges to be soft and lost. I'm painting for movement more than anything else. And then if I want to paint more petals or fronts, I can strike more on and push the bowl here, but it's found and lost, see? So that's a found edge, there's a lost edge, and the lost edge allows you to petal. So if you lose all these edges in here, that allows you to use the chisel of your brush, whether it be a flat or it be a filbert, and it allows you to use that chisel to stroke in a nice found edge, sneak it underneath the bowl there, maybe pull it underneath the bowl a little bit, just push it just a bit, and that petal goes right up underneath the bowl there, just like you know what you're doing. And if you're into the intermediate lessons, what we're doing is we make sure we have a shadow showing up here. If we don't, we just restate a little bit more shadow, push that up in there, make sure you have a nice shadow. If I wanted to sneak in another petal, and I'll sneak one in on the chisel there, so I'll use some white, and we'll push this up like this, and we'll sneak one right in here onto the chisel, maybe drop it underneath the bowl right underneath here. And since I'm dropping it underneath the bowl, I'm going to want to put this, the bowl, I'm going to want to relieve this or take this off. So I take just a little shadow right here and I lift this off right here so that the bowl's coming back right there. And so that petal sits underneath the bowl. And maybe just a bit more light right here, and a little bit more shadow right here, and you have a nice petaled rose here with a found edge and a lost edge. And you can go back and restate and pick up and work any of your edges here like this, work them a little bit more, bring up some more found edges, or you can if you want it to show up a little bit more, put on a little more paint, a little more texture. There's a lot of different techniques that I use, but one of the most important is the found edge to the lost edge, and that's what makes the rose really turn down that way. Okay, so you stroke heavy, textured on one side, that's the found edge. You whisper it out, shear out the color, push it out. Use colors that are very similar to the background so it's hard to see exactly where that edge is. That's the lost edge. And that's what you want to concentrate on when you're painting roses, especially multiple roses in a composition, Or roses that have a lot of petals on them, they should have lost and found edges to help them have interest, to help them turn and set one petal up on top of the other. All right? Okay, so that's the technique. And practice that on all different kinds of things. All right, I'll see you on another one.